going the 7 furlongs. This is a doozy to kick things off. I think that's why
So
you
long,
were going
Belmont.
on and on about Saratoga.
Very good, Maggie. Yes. I am so embarrassed. This is the most I've done some embarrassing things in my life.
Well, to be fair, she looks doesn't she look a little bit more loose today than she did last
Lady
time?
Yellen's just supposed to be in front of this field.
I don't know. I
0
took
for
a little
30, 0 for 31, 0 for 13. You know, I mean, she's supposed to be gone on the front end.
Right.
And
I don't love the fact that 0 for 31 Madame Rose beat her last time, but she did have a more favorable trip.
Yeah.
You know, relative to how the pace kind of played out and with these fillies. I took a shot here with KT Gal. I know she ran that number for Todd Pletcher. I get it. But back to the dirt, back to she's never been on a fast track
right,
before.
the fastest ground she's been on was that day. I
Yeah,
agree.
she showed speed that day. I don't know, but that was going the mile here. We're going the 7 furlongs, but at least she gets that outside trip, that outside stalking trip, I would think. Like I said, I thought Lady Yellen was a somewhat inexcusable in her last 2, but you could make excuses for her. And I just wanted someone just maybe a little bit different. But yeah,
Okay.
Lady Yellen's going to be pretty short price, so she's 4 to 5 currently. Race number 2, claiming 32 7 furlongs on the Widener turf course. This was kind of an interesting race from my perspective. You know, you had a lot of horses dropping down in here. You decided, and horses coming in off very poor efforts, and that would include your top choice in here, Rue, but that field seems awfully live.
A, the field seems awfully live. B, kind of like KT Girl, this horse's best race in this country was clearly on firm ground.
Right.
And quite honestly, we're not going to get any firmer ground than we have right now.
Nope.
We had less than 1/10 of an inch of rain Friday night, and it was like a monsoon compared to what we've had the last 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So the fact that this horse ran as well as he did, it was his first time in the U.S., first time off 9.5 months that time. Look, is he the same horse? He's obviously not the same horse. You see another layoff from July of last year to June of this year. So obviously there's some holes in this horse. And he has Claim Me written all over him. He's probably going to a different home tonight.
Yeah.
With all of that said, getting back to the firm ground, if this horse runs that 91 he ran last May here at Belmont Park, he's going to drown these horses. And I'm just hoping the class relief combined with the firm ground is enough. It's a race, like you said, full of class droppers and horses trying the turf for the first time in a while, like Casalsa and Troubling
Who
Moon.
has a lot of pedigree,
He does.
actually. I mean, the Fool was a 5-time winning turf sprinter, so fully loaded. So you would have to thank Steve Jerkins, who we don't see, with that many horses or claiming horses, period. I would have to think had that in mind, though this horse is tough to trust, and he does feel like a need the lead type, and I don't think he's necessarily going to get that with the presence of Not Far Now. He is a little interesting, as you were mentioning. I threw him in there just because I wanted a little bit of a price, but look, we have the same 3 horses on top.
Right.
I went to Duress. I think he's kind of a little bit of a pet of mine. Last time he tried the dirt for the first time, he's not a dirt horse whatsoever. And 2, like Rue, coming out of a race that also included Artemis City Limits, who would come back and win 2 starts after this. He made up some ground late here with the rest of the field. What are we showing here? Oh, Not Far Now.
This is Not Far Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Not Far Now, tiring to be third back on May 15th.
Back.
Yeah, 3 back.
3 back, which it was a good effort, but what has gone on in his last 2? I mean, I know you have him 4th in here, and I thought he was interesting at first, but his last 2 efforts have been bad. Yes, it was a huge pace meltdown on June 26th, but what was his excuse back on June 4th?
None.
And now he has to go 7?
Now he's got to go
then
7.
again, his race first off the bench at 7 was good enough to make him a player.
Yeah, and he's got a chance from the rail draw if Manny's just blasts him off. Maybe he gets in front of these horses. I was like you. I thought I wanted 2s and 7s, a little 6. The last zip's a little interesting.
Yeah, Joe Sharp. He can be sneaky good with these types of claims.
Yeah.
He claims them for himself too. And he's a horse that, most of his running's been done going longer, but he's shown that he can, sit right off a pace, and he's going to get some pace today and be effective closing. So I thought the 7 fit him well.
Yeah, I agree.
And 2, when Joe Sharp claims off his former boss, it was a little while ago, Mike Maker, usually does well with
He
them.
usually does well with them. Yep.
Race number 3, a maiden claiming 25 for the State Breds, going the 7 furlongs. We do see some drop downs in here, Anthony. You went with the one of the outside horses in number 8, Eminency. Don't you feel as though his chances have started adding up, though this is the lowest level he's
he just drops to the bottom, and this is another one where it's just, I think it's now or never. I'll spare you the Elvis impersonation, but yes, I believe today is now or never for Eminency.
Oh, come on.
Louis,
this race isn't
it's
that
now or
interesting.
never. I would just imagine that Louis just stalks up outside horses here. Wheels are falling off the bus very early today.
Well, I mean, how much sleep did you get last night?
Not much. I haven't got much sleep in like the last week, but that's a whole other story. But yes, not last night.
No.
It was a quick turnaround.
I had a really bad dream last night, which really interrupted my sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Your dreams are usually interesting. Oh, that's good.
Bad.
Oh, that's very good.
Why?
That's good luck. If you wake up crying from a dream, that's good luck. That's absolutely good luck. It's
Am
not.
I the only one that's like never heard that before?
That's absolute. That is good luck. You're gonna get good news. You're gonna
it.
get good news. That's like old German folklore. You're gonna get good news. Serious. Oh my God! I wish I would have woke up dreaming I could have got even for yesterday. I picked like 5 winners yesterday and I got buried here yesterday.
That is the hardest thing. You can be a great handicapper, but not a good better, which you are. But on some days it doesn't happen.
I'm an idiot. Yeah, yesterday I was an idiot.
But yeah, Patrick the Great. He's the other drop down in here.
He's right there. Patrick the
What's
Great.
up?
Yeah.
Patrick in the 2-legged version. The 4-legged version will coming up in race number 3. But, you know, he's the drop down. But Jorge Abreu's just not having the greatest meets ever. He's a player, but I just wish he had done some more running in his scheduled dirt races.
Yes.
I took a weirdo horse. I mean, talk about the rider upgrade on number 4.
We've seen a couple of these strange rider-trainer-jock combos at this meet, right? Arad rode the horse for Eduardo Jones a couple of weeks back.
Right.
Javier climbing aboard for Eddie Persad.
Well, let's look at Uncle Waterflow's race 3 back here. There is an argument that day on March 11th, the track was tilted more towards the inside, which it often can be at Aqueduct. I just always feel like you're better off, because it's a tighter racetrack, to be just closer to that inside rail. This race, I will admit, had more, it was more of a level playing field, but I thought he kind of ran well here. Against a first-time starter for Linda, that was well meant, and he hasn't been on a fast track since then. He gets a little less ground to cover, which I don't think is necessarily the worst thing.
Or ever, by the way. The only time he was ever on a fast dirt track was that day.
Was it ever?
The other 2 was sloppy and muddy,
On
and then
turf.
4 turf races. Yep.
I don't know. I just took a weird shot. Now that he has Lasix again, he gets Javier Castellano, and this is the cheapest that he's run as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Race-
I was a chalk-eating weasel.
But these were tough races. Race number 4, it is the first division of this maiden 40 going to Mount 16th. This one on the inner turf course, and
This starts today's pick 6, mandatory
Well done.
payout in the pick 6. Again, shameless plug. Ticket is up over at Naira Bets. I believe there's only 2 scratches on the entire card as of now. $144 ticket is up. We make a pick 5 ticket later on the card if you can't afford the $144. Got 1 single in the play. We'll talk about that in race 6. But yeah, ticket's up, and Maggie and I have the same 3 horses on top, and those are the 3 I'm kicking off the pick 6 ticket with.
And one of those 2 scratches is in here with my Playa Linda, but you went with a first-time starter, Mr. Nobility. Is
Yes.
this a Christophe Clement play?
It's a Christophe Clement play. Plain and simple. I've had a lot of success at the meet. I was not thrilled with any of the runners in here. So I'm going to try Mr. Nobility, son of Noble Mission. Gets Lasix for the debut. Trevor McCarthy. They've had a lot of success at this meet and putting over some prices. So I went to the first-time starter, Mr. Nobility. But I'm going to use the 2, 3, and the 9.
Christophe Clement, first-time starters on the turf and maiden claimers, is 9 for 42, 21%, 317 ROI. The Noble Mission obviously is a good turf influence. Christophe trained the dam, though he was unable to get her to win. 0 for 5. The best horse from the family is running for the Munnings, who was a good dirt sprinter. A minor turf winner in Gray Seal, went 2 for 19 on the turf. But this is definitely the weaker division of the 2 races that we'll see also in the last. I went with number 3, Left on Boylston. Yes, he was beaten by those proverbial professional maidens who are no longer maidens now after that race, and
Yeah.
then subsequently with bailout, 2 back in a maiden 40. Then they get a little ambitious, a mile and 3/8. And he did have a really good trip that day. He got to the rail, and those two just kind of got the jump on him, and it was his first time on the turf. Fine. 68, definitely can win here. Last time, mile and 3/8 in a maiden special weight, going, wide the entire way. That's not how you win races. And so I just took a shot with him. But number 2, media sensation, he's been running against state breds. But the top in his last start, a state bred maiden 40, Resilient Courage and Karma's Warrior ran basically 1-2 around the racetrack, where I don't know what happened. I don't know why Flavien had him so far back. He was not supposed to be that far back. And he's the only horse to make up significant ground here. So, he's not even in your picture yet, as he will be rallying down the middle of the racetrack. I just would love to see this horse a bit more forwardly placed to get better position earlier, because I think that's how he needs to be ridden, as Manny Franco will climb aboard for the first time.
And Manny's had a good meet.
By
Manny's
being aggressive.
Yeah.
Exactly. As race,
Break after 5.
Yep. Race number 5, allowance race, amount of 16 for those fillies and mares. And we do see 3 horses coming out of the June 12th Brattle House race, in which she's turned into basically a new horse.
Monster.
A
She's
monster.
an absolute monster. She looks like the horse that broke her maiden.
Yeah,
right. There was a little bit of a lull between these the last couple of starts in the maiden win, but she's turned into a monster now.
Well, first act, we saw her finishing second with Wasp, and it was a day where I think it paid to be more inside, and forward as well. Now, first act, she spent a lot of time until tipping out around the 4 in here on the rail, whereas Wasp has been on this 3 to 4 to 5 wide chase throughout the entire running of this race. And this is a little bit of a notes pick for me. I thought Wasp looked better than ever. And the fact that she finally doesn't have a line after her last race, she often fires her best shot when she can start pairing races back to back, when she doesn't have that time away from the racetrack. So I'm going to give Wasp a little bit of a shot here. You ultimately went with the 1, the other New York bred in here,
yes,
Frost Me.
I went to Frost Me, and I know Frost Me's done her better work. At least her better results have come on wet tracks. Mm-hmm. I liked her race 2 back, where she kind of took advantage of some pace. I think there's some pace in here. I think the extra 16th of a mile is going to help. She broke her maiden first time out going this trip, albeit in an off-the-turf race again on a sloppy track. But I kind of feel like she's woken up, and the Kimmel horses have been running lately. Mm-hmm. Going into Saratoga, that's obviously a good sign. These horses are starting to wake up. I feel like with Mashni Girl in here, with Baby Man in here, there's going to be some pace on, which obviously is key for her, because her better races have now come when she has a little target and a little bit to run. Even last time when she was closer, they went 50 to the half last time. They were walking on the front end. They're going to go faster in here, and I think that's going to be beneficial to her and her running style. She also, I know it doesn't appear this way on paper, but earlier in her career, with some time between starts, they were her best efforts. Her last couple of times off the layoff, but they really weren't optimal circumstances. She chased the pace in the Vienna Code race and a slow race at Aqueduct. The other race was going 7/8 against Brattle House. She got banged around at the start of that race. So some time between starts, some pace in front of her. I'll tell you the truth. I came dangerously close to making her a single today. I like her an awful lot. I'm going to wind up using the 1 and the 3 first act, I think, with some routine improvement and just her 4th start. First act, though, you make great points about the trips that her and Wasp received last time. I just would think that first act, there's maybe a little bit more blue sky for her than there is for Wasp.
You're totally against Mashni Girl. Is it because you think Baby Man's going to apply too much pressure?
Right? I mean, Baby Man has to put the pressure on. You would think.
I think she is really rounding into good form.
Okay.
I don't, obviously I have her 4, so I don't love her because I saw the same things you did, but I do think that she is one that has gotten a lot better, though we'll see, probably being embroiled in a pay stool is not going to help her chances. Where, yeah, first to act, she is the horse to beat. And she could take yet another step forward, as we often see with these Shug McGahee horses. But, I mean, what about Baby Man in here? Is Baby Man the fastest?
Baby Man's a little bit of a wild card, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at Baby Man, you take the wet track race 2 back off the card. A 71 in her debut by a fig. A 75
she was a surprise
last time.
that day at 15-1.
Yeah, she was. And then a 75 last time out on the ship down to Laurel for the A other end. She's a little interesting because from the outside draw, Jose Gomez, and obviously, for obvious reasons, I am not the biggest proponent of weight disparities. Mashley Girl has to give her 12 pounds.
Yeah. And
that's a lot when you have 2 speed horses.
Yeah.
And you have 2 aggressive riders, Luis Saez on Mashley Girl, Jose Gomez, the Bug, on Baby Man. But I would imagine that 12 pounds is going to come into play at some point when these 2 are banging heads on the front end, because it just appears that both of them need the lead. So, yeah, I would imagine that they're – but I would also think that – see, I kind of feel like Mashley Girl's been dressed up when she won. So I'm against Mashley Girl.
She has ridden some track biases.
But Baby Man would not surprise me. I just think this all points to a horse for a barn that's getting hot and John Kimmel to frost me working out the right trip today.
All right. Well, that will conclude the first 5. We'll have the latter 4 for you here on Talking Horses after this break.
Who are you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Maggie and Anthony to take you through.
You still haven't said it.
Pick 4. What?
I'm so disappointed. Magony.
I feel like that was just like a one-off funny thing.
You said it like 3 times since. Do you not remember this?
I think it was an Aqueduct thing.
You think it was an Aqueduct? All right, so we'll leave it for Aqueduct. All right, that's fine. I'm sorry. It's an Aqueduct thing.
Race 6. Racing gets a little better here for the last 4.
Make fun of my Aqueduct.
I'm just saying, I like these last couple races.
That's a hill I will die on. Oh, these races. Yeah, they're making fun of Aqueduct. I will die on. That's the hill I die on.
No, I just don't like the drive.
Yeah, that's a tough drive for me, too. 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. I'd ride my bike if I were you.
I didn't know this was an open mic day today on Talking Horses.
Race 6, optional allowance on the Widener turf course, going a mile. And I mean, I think Zayn Al-Arab will be the likeliest favorite, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, David kind of made the line, between her and the other Chad Brown horse. But I feel like Zayn Al-Arab, she's coming in off this huge effort, albeit with a good trip, in her first turf try. And that 88 is probably going to catch a lot of people's attention.
Yeah. I got to tell you something, though, Maggie. And, I'm the first one to fall for these Chad Brown horses. I just don't think she's much filly. I don't. I think she ran well last time, but, she got a really good trip. Irad gave her a great ride. He saved every inch of ground.
Yeah.
And she still got beat by a horse that Messidor is a decent enough filly, but I don't think she's much. I also don't know this. Andy and I talked about this last time. It took Chad Brown 6 starts to put her on the turf, and now it's taken him 7 starts to stretch her out beyond 7 furlongs.
You do realize you're saying this about a $1 million horse, right?
I got the whole thing, and they were very, very high on this filly. Very high on this filly. She beat a little bit of a bias when she broke her maiden. The whole thing. She just has not panned out. And I guess now, as midway through her 4-year-old year, they're going to start to try some things. And they tried the turf last time. Now they're going to stretch her out. She's going to take money because of Chad Brown. And I don't know how good she is. And, this is the hill that I'm going to take the stand on today.
Oh, I knew this was going to happen. I knew we were both going to end on the same horse.
But this horse just makes so much sense, right? She makes a lot of sense,
does.
King's Harlequin.
I mean, look, Christoph does not have good numbers with his European imports, especially ones coming off near 1 day shy.
1 day shy.
Year layoffs. She looked like a horse that needed a race last time, and really, she didn't run that badly. And if she needed a race and she improves five points, or
I love horses. I love horses like this because I agree with everything you just said. She looked and she ran like a horse that needed a race. Most horses need a race, regardless of surface. They could be 6, 7, 8 lengths. On dirt, they could be 10, 12 lengths. She could be 3 lengths.
Yeah.
She got to be 3 lengths. So if the screws get tightened now, which the barn shows that first off the layoff they could need one, and that was a year, first time U.S. She has that race under her belt. She didn't run badly at all in that race. If she makes the step forward, and we talk about just routine improvement. Fact of the matter is, this barn, these horses, second time, they get much better.
Yeah.
She will trounce these if she will beat these horses today, and she'll beat them badly. I like her a lot today. I know you're running into the Chad Brown Express with Zaylana Robb. And it worries me a touch, but she's just had not come around. It's taken them 2 years to run her a mile. It's taken them a year and a half to get her on the grass. I'm going to stick to my guns here. King's Harlequin wins the single today.
All right. As we also saw Mr. Karis in that last race. She was the beaten favorite, too, that day. But I just get the impression that, and I know she's won at 6, but breaking her maiden, but I just have always felt that a mile to a mile and a 16th is actually a better distance for her. So, yeah, it's hard to kind of take her and feel good about her off of her last effort, but now she is third off the bench, back out to a mile. I don't love her in here, but I could also see her winning. I'm a little bit interested in number 1, Princess Fausia. In here. I know class-wise she's facing better horses, but I really liked her in her last start, again, against a weaker field. Now, I thought she would go. Stretching back out from, going 7, 6, 6. And yet and maybe this was instructions, maybe that's what they wanted to do, but she's kind of strangled back here. And he actually missed the part where she's kind of throwing her head in the air. And then she's blocked for most of the stretch. I don't love her, but I just thought she deserves another chance. And she could, obviously Evie Jets is in here again, Navision Sunrise, but going a mile again, it could benefit her.
Yeah, it could. She's had some decent races going along. The more you go through this field and the more you talk about these horses, the more money I want to bet on King's Harlequin.
Yeah, because I don't like Navision Sunrise.
Right. I mean, I have her.
How can you feel confident about her? Because
you can't.
You go back. She's going to get company from Evie Jets. You would have to think in here, and that's how she won her 2 starts ago. She was 4 to 5 that day. Yeah, Seasons came back and won, but she only posted an 80 buyer, and she just had nothing.
We're going to do more of this stuff. There's a for you new players out there, or for those of you warriors like me and Maggie who have been doing this your whole life. There's going to be some blogs up at Naira Bets, and one of the things I think I'm going to do this summer is just go through the process. I know the biggest thing people talk about is, like, do you have a single, right? We get asked that all the time. Do you have a single today? And this filly happens to be my single. How you go through it. Part of what I'll do is I will pick holes at the rest of the field.
Yeah.
I'll pick a hole at the horse I'm singling, but I will pick holes at the rest of the field. And when you go through this field, Princess Fausia, yeah, she's questionable. That trip last time wasn't great. Do you like the race? I don't really prefer the race last time.
No, the quality is not there.
The same thing with Navision Sunrise. Has she really done much running in her races? No. Evie's Jet kind of had the run of the race last time and still couldn't get the job done. My problem with Mr. Karis, who's going to take some money in here, is I think she does her better running with a little cut in the ground. And this thing's hard as a rock. So you go through and you go through and you go through.
King's Harlequin, single. Race 7. This one I was trying to take a stab at, and I got scratched.
Yeah, Bellingham. The only original scratch on the card.
Guys, kidding. I'm kidding. But that's not supposed to have a 3 up there. I'm fully aware that Ballymore Star is scratched. So the 5 becomes my top pick in here. That's Queen Bourbon. And 2, with the scratch, it actually helps Queen Bourbon here because she could work out going this mile of 3/16 maybe as the most forwardly placed horse in here.
Well, she's the speed now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm hoping Louis Saez is a little bit more aggressive with Stepper as well, who at the beginning of her career as a 2-year-old last year at Ellis Park, she was more forward in races that really weren't that slow. The halves went 48 and change, and like you mentioned, the mile and 3/8 distance in here, I would imagine she's going to stretch out just fine and be forward as well. I would imagine the 4 and the 5 are alternating on the lead in here. I went to Stepper based on same kind of idea that she's just going to be forward in here. She's supposed to stretch. And you look at who she's run against. Lady Rockstar and Oakhurst, the stakes fillies, and she's dropping back in. She's running for the same A. It's funny. She's running for the same A other than, but when you look at the 6 fillies now after the scratches she's facing today, you don't see any Lady Rockstars or Oakhursts, and I don't know if there's a potential for a Lady Rockstar or an Oakhurst to come out of here. So it's the same condition, but I feel like she's facing some class relief today.
Does it bother you at all, and we see Tom Drury have a lot of success in Kentucky, does it bother you at all that he hasn't run that many horses here? I know the turf is an obvious question,
Right.
or obvious factor, I should say.
This is more of a necessity now because that Churchill Downs course was closed. But, yeah, I mean, as Saratoga comes along and now this filly shows up here on closing day, I actually think it's a little bit of a good sign that, it's you need to run her. He could have very easily found the race. I'm sure there's an A other than at Ellis Park. They kicked off their meet. But, I think, and you look at her last 2 races, Maggie, you look at her races as a 2-year-old, and you look at her last 2 races, she's really starting to develop and come along. She's taking big strides in all of her races. I think the extra distance is going to help her. And the fact that she is going to be more forward today, you would imagine, I think she has a really big chance today.
One that's likely to take a lot of money is Ilara in here. She stretches out for the first time in her career. I mean, she is by Glenn Eagles, who was a very good turf miler. And maybe this is going to be proved to be too far for her. But the way she keeps finishing her races, I see why they're going to try it. Because she really doesn't start to get going until the race is nearly over. Right.
And agree with everything you said. Bottom half of the pedigree tells you but being by a Dubai destination, that the extra distance is not going to be an issue.
Yep.
Like you said, Sire was more of a miler type. But her running, she's gaining ground at the end of her races, and she's not grinding along. She's making up considerable ground at the end of her races.
You always wonder paces, but she's been in slow paces. Like she's not likely to see anything that much slower than what she's faced. Correct. Going a mile and a 16th and a mile and 8.
And that is a huge plus for her, that she's been able to gain ground in these races with the slow paces, going in a quarter of a mile shorter. Now she gets more ground. It's not even like they can walk the dog on her because they've already done that, but now she gets the great equalizer, which you would imagine is distance. Yeah, I thought the race was 2, 4, and 8, with her being a very likely winner.
Okay,
of the
let's
race.
talk about the other New York bred. There's obviously Rayome in here, but Classic Colors. I always do put a bit of credence when you're dealing with these other than conditions to the New York breds because they have won more races. I mean, she's 3 for 7 lifetime. I am just not sold on her necessarily getting a mile and 3/8.
I'm not either, but I will say this. We talk about how Christoph horses usually need a race. Mm-hmm. That race from a July layoff last time was clearly the best race of her life.
Yeah, she ran huge.
The 2 fillies that she beat, Instinctive went to Parks and won. Marvelous Maud came back and looked like she was ready to take next step forward, maybe into the State Bred Stakes company. She ran really, really well. Yeah. In her next start. So the fact that she ran as well as she did, and the field that the horses that she beat, immediate proximity, both came back to run really well. I don't disagree with you that the distance is a question mark with her, but I don't think you could sleep on her based on that last race because she bucked a lot of, she bucked the Clement trend of needing the race off the layoff. She ran really, really well last time.
Yeah, definitely. As we will take a look at our feature The Saginaw going a mile and 16th on the main track for the New York breds. And Clement finished strong today. Yes. He's had an excellent meet, Christoph, and he has a ton of live horses on this card, including Listen to Your Heart, who will try beyond 7 furlongs for the first time in the stakes race. But I was really impressed with what I saw from this horse coming back as a 5-year-old. Anthony, not only physically, he's always been a very good-looking horse, but mentally, he came back as a new gelding, and he always seemed a bit distracted and just not really putting forth his best effort. As we'll check out his last race here, which, again, another, Christophe Clement horse. This is the wrong video. This is Daddy Knows.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Yeah, Listen to Your Heart always seemed like a little bit of distraction. Sorry, buddy. No more distractions for you. And he ran well, and he always had the makings of being a nice little horse. Right?
Yeah.
He ran into Sky of Hook when Sky of Hook was going good 3 years ago at this point. City Man, Dream Bigger. I mean, he ran into Fair Captain, Bombastic. These are all horses that have won multiple stakes races. Like, he ran into some nice horses, and it just took him some time to find his way. This was a really nice effort. Again, you don't see the Clement horse, much like Classic Colors. This horse was off 50 weeks, and that was clearly the best race of his career. With that ultimate equipment change of being a fresh gelding, I can't even say a fresh gelding. It was announced as a gelding in September, so I think he was in closing weekend at Saratoga, and he scratched. Then he was gone all those months and comes back with such a big effort. Now he stretches out. He has Daddy Knows, who we were about to see in here. Daddy Knows, you've got to figure, is going to go to the lead. There was a storm brewing. I mean, there's so much in here, and here's the...
We just have to watch this whole race because it's incredibly entertaining. As you see, Daddy Knows. I was a little surprised that another horse beat him to the front end here in Simply up at Finger Lakes, but watch when they go around the turn. I mean, they disqualified him for supposed interference from first to third. I mean, what about the deer? Didn't they get called to the steward's booth?
Pretty remarkable, right?
Like, watch the rider on the one horse. He's starting to ease him up right here because there's a mom and baby deer crossing the racetrack. So we'll let it run. But especially when we get into the stretch here. Daddy Knows is a bit of a difficult horse. I will give him that.
Yes.
He's often one that gets out pretty badly. But did you find this disqualification justified?
So Andy on Friday told me to make sure I watched this. And I have to tell you, I've never seen anything more bizarre in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know how the I'm going to clarify that at the racetrack. How is this horse disqualified?
I'm not sure. You can see him. Andre Worry has a tight hold of his left inside rein. But what? I mean, okay. Keep watching. I believe they say he interferes with the one because they put
the one.
The one is stopping.
He interferes with the one.
How does he interfere with the one?
Could you imagine this?
Oh, not the one. I'm sorry. He interferes supposedly with the 6.
Well, the 6, rather. Yeah. How? Where? The most amazing thing I've ever seen. I mean, the most amazing. We talk about disqualifications that look phantom, and this was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I could not believe it. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it.
Yeah. The other horses in here, number 5, Market Alert, he's a 9-5 morning line favorite. He comes out of races in which he faced much tougher company. In 3 back, he was an upset winner. With a little help from the racetrack.
With a little help from the racetrack, yes. And that's Figs dressed up. Now, he came back to duplicate that figure with things not going his way.
Right.
Being hounded on he ran huge. Right? And he kind of validated the Fig from 3 back. Last time out, things didn't go so well, but he broke through the gate before the start.
He's been acting really strange. I talked about this with Mig yesterday on the show. He won't walk through the tunnel, and he's kind of giving himself his own problems. And at times, as you mentioned, especially 2 and 3 back, he's the likeliest winner of this race. Mm-hmm. I just find him a little bit tough to trust.
He has representative races that are exponentially better than anybody else in here.
Mm-hmm.
anybody else in here. I know Brooklyn Strong has the one fig from the Remsen on the wet track, but I mean, fast track races, he would devastate this field if he ran one that the race 2 back, the race 3 back. He has a race back in November here at Belmont where he got the job done at 13.5 to 1. I mean, where he would just really put a beating on this field. So I went too deep in here. I used the 4 and the 5, and I thought you were pretty safe with those two. Even though there was a storm brewing, that was a big race last time out.
But he's not alone, right?
He's not alone today. No, listen, if somebody gets loose in here, I give up.
Yeah.
I give up.
They're going probably too fast if they're loose.
They're going,
right?
And that's the other thing. If somebody is on that dead send, they're going too fast, and that plays right into the hands of market alert and listen to your heart.
I don't know. Stranger things have happened around here as we are running out of time. And race number 9 is a maiden 40, mount a 16th, the other version of this race, a much tougher one. There are huge pedigrees in here. I ultimately defaulted to a horse that, yes, has run his better and faster races on the synthetic, but at least run on the turf, and that's Dream of a Day. Barkley Tagg and Dylan Davis teaming up. I mean, you look at the last time he was in a maiden claimer, and it was when he was a 2-year-old, and he just got beat. I like Dream of a Day in here. You went with Chris Alcamon first time starter.
I'm going to ride the train. Longest day in here.
But he's going to get over bet because it's West Point, right?
Yep.
And while he has a lovely pedigree, the Dam, she wasn't much, but this horse is a 1/2 to 5 iron who's a multiple graded stakes winner, including winning the Fort Marcy and the Saranac on the turf. But there's other good pedigrees in here. I mean, I don't necessarily like my husband's horse in here, the Iceman Cometh, but he gets on the turf after just being 30 lengths out of it early on and then making up a ton of ground. But he's a 1/2 to a horse that made $314,000, graded stakes winner on the turf.
Proceed B, but that was a while ago. Proceed B,
yes,
I think it was
it's
an
an
old
older
6
dam.
foal. Yeah, older dam.
And then you jump to the outside with Todd's horse, Emola. But Todd does not have as good of numbers with first-time starting turf horses in maiden claimers. He's only 3 for 31, though this one, the Dam Stakes winner and multiple graded stakes placed on the turf, running some fast figures as well.
He's a 1/2 to Kamari.
Right, who is more of a sprinter.
More of a sprinting type, right. But Todd's running the horse long, first time, the quality road influence on the top part of it, too. I did not prefer most of the runners in here. I threw North Carolina into the mix. I took the 3 firsters. That's how I closed the ticket out, 2, 5, 6, 11.
Isn't the Noda horse a little interesting for the drop in class on turf?
First time Lasix as well. Yeah, I guess.
With Irad Ortiz, I mean, they pulled off an upset yesterday with a similar type of
the infamous
horse.
The infamous 5th pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had this horse on top, and then I don't know. I just thought with the firsters, with those kind of pedigrees, why are they showing up for 40 first time out? I mean, I know it's
Fair
not
enough.
fillies, but
right. Right. If this was fillies, you'd be tossing them all. You'd be tossing every one of them.
Even Jenna Antonucci's horse, Union of Thoughts, Union Rag's not a great turf influence. 1/2 to stakes winners.
Yeah.
Youngest daughter and annulment. That'll do it. Thanks for joining us here on Talking Horses. Favorite moment of the meet?
Casa Creed.
Cool. He ran huge.
Casa Creed defending the Jaipur title.
Jaipur.
I was a little fired. If you haven't seen the video, I was a little fired up after Casa Creed got up. That was a good result, along with Clairiere. That was a good 37 minutes here at beautiful Belmont Park for me.
Yeah.
Clairiere to Casa Creed. That was fun. Belmont Stakes Day. Always, I mean, just a great day. Mike Rapoli running 1-2, in a race that he's always wanted to win, right? I think it's cool that you want to win you say you want to win you're a Queens guy, you want to win the Belmont Stakes, and you get to run 1-2 in the race. So, yeah, so that's good. It was a good day. Belmont Stakes Day.
Yeah. I enjoyed, especially being able to interview him after it, but Trevor McCarthy winning his first grade 1 in the Man o' War for the guy
ride,
who
a better
got
person.
him started
Yeah,
in Grand Motion.
excellent ride, a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trev's a good guy. Good guy.
All right, well, do we have any billboards, Francisco?
Yeah, we do.
And this is Bon Voyage for Francisco.
This is,
Really sad.
Andy's not here for this, and Andy's going to be
sad.
Andy, if you're watching, Francisco is leaving.
Yeah, so
He's going to be sorely missed.
do it for Francisco. Sign up for Naira Bets today using promo code MATCH200.
Do it for Francisco. Wow. Wow.
Oh, there's also some other great promotions that we have over at Naira Bets. Anthony, he has all his picks up for all the
Tickets up. 5 times the points today. Tickets are up. I think it's 10 times points at Horseshoe Indy
fun.
and Canterbury as well. But we have tickets up for the early pick 5.
Actualizer ran
Very well yesterday.
Yeah, that's a nice horse.
Early pick 5, late pick 5, pick 6, and a triple play ticket. The triple play starts in race 6 at 6, 7, and 9 today. So yeah, those are key races today, with King's Harlequin being the single in race 6.
Trifecta?
Yep.
Don't play a trifecta in that race, you're saying? No.
You can, yeah.
I mean, why not?
Great.
It's great. As well, make sure you opt in, though, when you head over to NairaBets.com. And, too, you can catch all the action on America's Day at the races. Our last show for America's Day at the races until after Saratoga Live.
I wonder if the Meadowlands Pace is Saratoga Live. That would be interesting. But in any event.
We digress. Anyway.
Harness Racing Guru, I think we should call it.
You can honorably have that title. That'll do it for us here on Talking Horses. John and Brielle will be coming up next for a reprise of those very few scratches and changes.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to beautiful Belmont Park on this closing day of the 2022 Spring-Summer Meet. And it's a beautiful day, sunny skies, temperature in the 80s, main track is fast, and the turf courses are firm with the portable rail out at 27 feet on the Widener. Very few changes to report. In fact, no changes in races 1, 2, or 3. In the 4th race, scratch number 10, My Playa Linda. Scratch the 10, My Playa Linda. And note that number 3 is 1 pound over. No changes in race 5. And nothing in the 6th, which starts the $3 turf triple play. In the 7th race, scratch number 3, Ballymore Star. Scratch the 3 out of race 7. No changes in the 8th, the Saginaw Stakes. And in today's 9th and